Welcome to the Effects Loop. I'm Diaz.
I'm Andrew.
And we're keeping you in the loop of the guitar community. There's no Scott this week. If you listened last week, we said Scott's taking the week off for his birthday. When I gotta remember when his birthday is. Wait, is it? It's his birthday. I don't know. I thought maybe you might know.
No. Sorry,
so,
Scott.
If you guys have listened to the podcast, I talk about Andrew every once in a while. He lives close to me, and we became Facebook friends. And then we were like, we should probably hang out sometime. And then I moved in with him for a short period of time. So Andrew plays at church quite a bit. You have a band that you play with on the side and everything, and you do a lot of recording at home. So that's usually every time I come over, he's like, check this out. So
yeah, I don't know anybody that doesn't do that though. I mean, if you work on stuff at home, you want to share it with your friends who can appreciate it.
Yeah, usually. I think I need more friends is the problem. Like that's the problem. It's not that I don't. Well, yeah. No, honestly, I just need to stop being lazy and actually do stuff. I've got my buddy Will. He wants me to. I still need to send some stems back to him from some guitar tracks I put down, and he's wanted me to work on some other stuff, and I really need to do that. But instead, I've been going crazy. I went out drinking last night, which is this is a Saturday, and it is 7:00 in the evening. And I still feel like it's like noon because I do not drink often. But last night was we just went out and had fun. So we ended up at this pizza place called Barley's. That's a tap room and pizza. And they had this slide player there. He's called the Doctor. And oh my gosh, he killed it. Like phenomenal. I love whenever you see a player that just like you like as a musician, you're just like drawn into them, and like not in any like there's when you see someone live as a musician, you like get two modes. You get the sucked in or you get the critique the crap out of them, and it's always great whenever you don't have a chance to do that and you just get sucked right into them.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a buddy that's attending all the Big Ears Festival in Knoxville this weekend,
right?
And he's been texting us about some of the shows. He said he went and saw somebody Thursday night that was 4 guitar players on stage, and it was 2 jazz masters and 2 telecasters, and he said it was mind-bogglingly good.
Oh wow.
Like he sent us the album on Spotify to listen to. I haven't listened to it yet, but the other guy in our group chat sent back a hearing aid feeding back, said my ears, because he's just imagining all that treble on stage.
Yeah, that's what when you said that 2 jazz masters and 2 telecasters, I was like twang.
Yes, all of the brightness.
Yeah, that we call this song "Twang for Days." So
yeah.
Oh man. Anywho, so wait, did we let the music play?
I don't have the music.
I know. No. We had it in post. I just don't remember. If Scott, if you're being nice and editing the episode for me, even though you took the week off, you can put the music in anywhere. So
also, speaking of Scott and being nice, I apologize in advance for the coughs that you will definitely have to edit out.
Oh no, we don't edit that out. That's just going to stay in the show.
You might want to edit them out because they're rough right now.
You think we do a lot more than we actually do. Scott edits the episodes in like 3 minutes. Like he goes in, he has pretty much presets saved. He's like DS, compression, get it leveled.
That's fair.
Add the music, send it out.
That's fair.
Oh yeah, and because we're not recording. So usually we record like away from each other. I'm actually at Andrew's place of recording in real time and real people in the real world, so it's interesting. It's throwing me for a loop. So an effects loop. Oh. All right, that was lame. All right, so Andrew, what's some new gear you've gotten recently?
Well,
usually we have like a week of buying.
Right.
You can just reach for whatever new you've gotten.
Well, the last time I was on the pod was when I was piecing out my old giant wet dry board so that I could order the Creston.
Okay.
So that was years ago because I've had the Creston for over a year now.
Yeah.
And love it dearly. And behind me on the table that we're looking at is my new 24x16 wet dry wet fully MIDI bypassed Morningstar conglomerate of chaos board.
If you think that you are wiring a complicated board, let me explain something. So when Andrew starts telling me about his board, first of all, he notices within the first 30 seconds, I get this blank look on my face where he knows he's totally lost me. And then he shows me wiring diagrams that he's done on his computer. Andrew is a very much a planning person if I've ever met one. Like, hands down. And I watch it and like I'm just in awe because I could never do this. And heavens to Betsy, some of this stuff, like when you're like wet, dry, wet, I'm like, oh, that sounds like simple for you, because yours was like wet, dry, wet, dry, dry, wet, like almost like duck, duck, goose. Like, yeah. So
yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's been a long process. I have spreadsheets, plural, of planning, because I have no chill and because I get bored at work a lot. So yeah, but it should be fun when it's done. It should make lots of noises. I still got to figure out the amps, because I currently have one that I'm planning on keeping.
The Tyler.
And I need some high headroom stereo wet amps.
Yeah, I have no idea.
I mean, I bought the quad reverb, and it's large and loud. But
do you still have that, or do you?
Yeah, it's in the garage.
I'm surprised that wasn't like your first thing to try to get rid of.
Oh, it's listed and been offered to multiple persons, multiple times, in multiple ways,
and people just don't want it.
Nobody
right now.
wants a 90-pound 412 combo, so
yeah,
I'm not surprised.
And you said that's what floating around, what, $1,200, $1,000 to $1,200?
Yeah, I would sell it for that.
Yeah, you're like, right now, I just want it gone. It's like a Goosebumps episode, Cursed Amp. Yeah. Can't get rid of it, dang it. No, everyone has that piece of gear that like you've tried to get rid of and it just won't go away, and you just have accepted it and it lives with you. Like 5 light drives.
My favorite is the people on Craigslist here in town that have been listing the same thing for literally approaching a decade. Like, it's like the same 10 items.
There's this guy out in Sevierville who posts these loaded pick guards. Telly-loaded pick guards. Mm-hmm. I know he used to be friends with me on Facebook. His name is Greg. His old Greg. No, and like he ended up blocking me or something because it was politics and we were polar opposites. Surprise. But
what?
But yeah, that's on there. There used to be this guy that I haven't seen the listing in a long time, so I'm guessing it's all gone. Who was down in Townsend? You remember him? Who was it? No text. Phone calls only. No text. And it was good gear, and it wasn't horrible prices. They were middle to a little bit high on their prices, but like if anyone knows about Townsend, Tennessee, it's a very, very, very small place at the very beginning of the Smoky Mountains National Park.
Yeah. Actually, that's who I bought the Red, White, and Blues Eminence from. Was that guy
Townsend?
Yeah.
Did you have to call him?
I did.
Oh my gosh.
It was worth it.
Was it really?
It was $75.
Was he really nice?
Yeah.
Okay, so that was new. You just picked up the Red, White, and Blue Eminence for $75. So you got another speaker, didn't you?
Yeah, Texas Heat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was telling you about the classic V30s that everything loves or hates. I feel like they're the NS10s of guitar speakers. Like, everything sounds okay through them, and if you make something sound great through them, it's going to sound great through anything else. And I got the Tyler sounding okay through them, and then I more than tripled the wattage that was available to the Tyler in speaker headroom, and now it sounds immaculate.
Yeah.
So it's been fun.
I think a lot of people
don't that rabbit hole.
I think a lot of people don't realize how much their speakers like affect their sound. It just and the big thing about it is now it might not affect your overall tone, but it affects the frequency in which it hits your ears, and that has a lot to do with it. Yeah. I mean, that's like when you're tuning to 432, because I'm not going to get into that.
Don't take me down a theory rabbit hole. You know better.
432 is the body. Your body's tuned to that.
Do you know about the Jacob Collier song that is in both?
No.
Jacob Collier's Hideaway starts in D at 432, and at one point key changes, my air quotes for the people who are not in this room right now, it key changes to D at 440. Like, the tuning reference pitch changes instead of the actual key changing.
That would be like
insane.
It seems like it'd be unsettling.
You'd think it's unsettling. He says, and he's right, it feels like being inside and then going outside. It's creepy.
I'm gonna have to listen to that now.
We'll listen to it after this.
Okay.
It's absurd.
All right. So, anything else really new and fun that you've gotten?
That's a good question. I don't think so. I've been on kind of a gear hiatus just because I've only been spending money on this board.
Well, and it seems like you've been doing a lot of the make sure you sell before you buy more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can count on one hand the number of times I've bought and then sold to make up for that, and I hate doing it. So I just, unless I see an obscenely good deal on something I know that I won't regret, I won't buy something unless I have the money for it.
Yeah, I've been thinking about downsizing because I've got the giant Trio 43, and I had that before I had the Stomp, and then I got the Stomp, and I just started selling stuff because there's no point.
Yeah.
Thank you, Andrew, for pushing me onto the Helix world. So that was every time I came over, Andrew would be like, "Check this out, listen to this." Do this. And me being the guitar player that, especially like I love playing riffs from certain songs and like a lot of presets you'll have of like, oh, I actually know that song. I'll play it's so much fun.
Yep. I'm just sitting here grinning like a fool because I've convinced so many people to buy a Stomp or a Helix. Not just church players, but mostly church players.
Yeah. I've been, honestly, I was talking with a couple of the guys I went out with last night. They're in a band. They're into that whole like Moon Taxi back when Moon Taxi was more of a jam band. And like they're into that blues jam, kind of almost getting into like the psychedelic jam. And we were talking about, they're like, we want to do in-ears. And I was like, yeah. I was like, I mean, it's not horrible. I said, well, what are you using for a mixer? Like, well, we're using analog. We need to get a new mixer. I was like, dude, Behringer.
Yeah.
I was like, Air 16. I said, get it. I was
absolutely.
Like, that's what I said. That that's the 18, right? Isn't that? Yeah. Andrew had the 18, and I leaned over. I was like, when are you going to sell that? And he said, it's the churches. It's like, never mind. But yeah, that's like, he's like, well, what if we run the drums through the analog into the Behringer, and then they're like trying to move Logic. They're like, well, what we like Logic. I was like, dude, you're making all this stuff obsolete. I was like, you won't need Logic anymore. And they're like, oh, well, we want to run through Logic. I was like, if you want to run through Logic and that's your whole thing, I was like, that's fine. I was like, but you don't have a point to. It's like there's literally no point anymore.
No.
Like the Behringer has enough great built-in effects, compressors, reverbs, just whatever you need. Yeah. The loading presets, just wham bam, knock it out. And that I was like, of course we had been drinking, so like I'm like trying to argue, and they're like, not. I'm like, no. I was like, I said it. I finally told him. I said the next person who mentions Logic, I'm gonna hit. I was like, because you don't need that. So like, I spent $1,200 on it. I said, well. I said, it's great for recording. Use it for your recording scenario. I was like, but you don't need it to run live. I said, that's an added thing you don't need.
It's also not designed for that.
Right. I was like, that's not the purpose of it.
I've used Reaper for clicks live, and that was a hassle. So.
Yeah. I told him, I said, Logic's great. If you're going to run a MIDI show, if everything's timed, connected via MIDI, yeah, Logic's great. I said, but that's also that's two different things that you're really talking about. Like,
yeah, and then even Ableton, that's what it's designed for.
Right.
So, I
was like, no, that's been it. Yeah. I actually got something new this week thanks to the Patreon supporters. Yeah. I got the Universal Audio SD1. I'm recording on it now. I brought it with me. I was like, I got my new mic. I got to bring it with me and everything. So, if my voice sounds any better, I was thinking about, I think next week I'll have my 58 and my SD1 both recording into my two channels and just jump back and forth and be like, mic 1, mic 2, which one do you like better? And I'm going to see which one wins. I'm curious.
Just put them side by side and do the whole thing. And just like that way you're not thinking about switching between them. You're just podcasting like normal.
Well, no, I don't want them to, I don't know. I could. But I have to be recording in stereo. See, the thing is Scott just picks me up off of Google Meet, whatever it is.
Oh, okay.
He just pulls that audio.
Gotcha.
So I'd want to kind of jump back and forth, and I'd want to do the mic 1, mic 2, mic 2, see which one. So, all right.
Well, let's see what's new.
Let's see what gear news. All right. So Harley Benton this weekend. Harley Benton. I didn't have Scott to set it up, so I had to do that. They're doing their 25th anniversary, doing all gold guitar and bass models. Are there like all their affordable all gold guitar and bass models for the 25th anniversary, which is kind of crazy. I didn't realize Harley Benton has been around since 1998.
That's wild.
I'm curious on the history, because I know we're all very much like aware that it's a Thomann in-house brand, but like, has Thomann been doing that for that long, but we're just now hip to it?
That's my assumption. It's strange. I'm sitting here scrolling through, looking at them. I mean, they look nice.
The Fusion 3 is like, and the Fusion T.
Yeah.
Both of those. Yeah. I love a great gold. They got the single cut. Oh, that's gonna scratch my Gibson or my Les Paul itch.
Mm-hmm.
I won't buy one. I won't buy one. I won't buy one. Because now I'm looking at it. Oh, come on. How much? Let me do the
265 pounds.
Yeah. What's the conversion on that?
327
bucks. Yeah. That's amazing.
That's insane. And I mean, Roswell humbuckers, which okay, but an actual Tune-o-matic and a graphite nut. I mean,
yeah,
steel frets.
Really?
Yeah,
that's amazing.
$330. That's
like
absurd.
Sign me up.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. But I'm probably gonna get a Harley Benton here soon. I'm probably gonna get a single cut from them.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
I mean,
I don't know what I'm gonna get next.
Yeah.
If I get anything too soon, what I'm gonna get is hit over the head by my wife.
Yeah. As someone who has, spent time with your wife and hung out with you guys, I can vouch. Yeah, you're gonna get this not.
I get smacked, but I deserve it. It's not like an abuse thing. It's like she respects me.
Andrew, it's not your fault. It's not your fault, bud. Anywho, prices are in the Harley Benton price range on those. They look phenomenal. It's gonna be kind of a pain in the butt because the Reverb shop isn't uploading a lot of these newer things. So you're still gonna have to order it straight from Thomann and wait a little bit. But
yep.
Yeah, they come with a pretty nice little padded gig bag.
Yeah,
looks pretty sturdy. It's one of the ones. I mean, it's actually got the strap for the neck, which I don't know if there's a real big point to that, but
it's pretty nice. A little bit. I mean,
it's still a soft bag.
Yeah,
I guess. I mean, I don't know. All right, let's move on to the next thing. So Cattle and Bread launches the STS-88, a love letter to the flanger that can cloak its modulated swoosh in over huge, dreamy reverb. So Andrew and I were talking before the episode, which Patreon listeners, sorry, there was not a pre-app because, yeah. Anywho, you've never owned a flanger before.
I have not. I've owned or borrowed, I was looking the other day, 200 unique pedals in some form or fashion.
Oh yeah, you have a whole spreadsheet.
Because as you mentioned, I'm a planner and I get bored, so I have a spreadsheet of all the crap that I've owned because...
Owned or
borrowed, yeah. Because I've borrowed a ton of fuzz pedals and stuff that I just was like, oh, my friend has this and I don't want to spend money. I'll borrow it and see if I like it. And I ended up not buying it usually. So
yeah.
So I've never owned a flanger. I've always been more of a chorus and phaser guy, as evidenced by the DC2 and PH1 that are sitting on the board behind me.
Yeah.
I have only used flanger when I'm trying in the Helix to get a specific sound, and I look up the way that sound is made and discover that it's a flanger. But
yeah, I've owned a few flangers. I do love flangers. The BF2 is one that I want to pick up. I feel like you would totally dig the BF2.
I'm sure I'd vibe with one if I actually owned one.
I feel like the problem with flanger is whenever you think of flanger, you think of a very prominent flanger. What is it, like anything Creed.
Yeah.
Pretty much is a Creed or anytime I play a flanger, I got to play some Tom DeLonge. But yeah, it's always been kind of interesting. I've always had a flanger like available to me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't use it often, but pretty much what it is anytime I like plug in a guitar for the first time, I've got to do a octave chord on B or a B octave chord on the E string and do flanger and do some Tom DeLonge, Blink-182 self-titled stuff. So
I've put some in some Helix presets when I get bored with the wet effects I'm using. That's the other thing I love about the digital world, talking about selling people on it. It's like, if you get bored one day.
There's not an effect I don't have almost.
Yeah.
Like, that's the best way to put it. Like, if I need to make an effect, okay, I gotcha. But anyways, back to this
specifically
pedal.
this one, yes.
Yeah. So we listened to it, and it had such an amazing sound. It sounded really great, especially because it has that built-in like kind of reverb thing going on, where it really fills out the sound and didn't make it sound dry for the demo. And so you can get a really amazing sound. They even got into a kind of a shoegaze. And you said what, like a Midwest emo thing going on?
Yeah, like, the soft, moody intro before the extended, the extended drop D chords and the angst in the vocals.
I'm giving up slowly. No,
all of the angst in the vocals.
Yeah. Oh, did we ever find out what 1981 was going to be announcing? I still wonder if that's going to be a NAMM announcement, like right around NAMM time.
I'm going to start badgering my buddy who's good friends with Matt.
Mr. Hoops.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got to meet him. That was like one of the coolest things ever.
He's a cool dude.
The funny thing was like Reliant K was a band that like in high school, I was dating this girl that was like all about Reliant K. And like me just being a douchebag was just like, lead singer looks like Frodo. And like, cause it was right around, what was the, what album was that song off of? I just sang. It was like one of their really big albums. And you're getting mad because you're seeing it now, aren't you? I just shattered there's like the glass and like you're like, gosh, dang it.
That's great.
He did at that point.
Oh,
I've seen him after, and I'm like, okay, how did I make that? And then I like look at that one specific music video, and I'm like, yeah, there's Frodo.
Yep.
Like, take the ring, go.
Oh, Matt Thiessen with all that hair.
Yep. So incredible. This pedal sounds phenomenal. And the cool thing is the price that it's ringing in at was, what was it? I said like
173,
172.74.
Yeah.
Like, it can run on 9 to 18 volts, which is great. I love any pedal that can do that because it helps with the whole shuffle of whenever you're trying to make a power supply work.
Yeah.
If you've got that pedal, you're like, I don't have an 18 volt. Because there's a lot of drives that can run an 18 volt that I don't like. Cannot stand. Like the Prince of Tone, everyone's like, oh, run it at 12 volts, run it at 18 volts. No, give me 9. I want that thing compressed and crunchy, like nice.
And
like
that is where we differ.
I don't like that, like very clean, like, just adds to the tone. I want it to be the tone. Like, and so that's the big thing. I mean,
it depends on the use case. You gotta remember, like, most of what a lot of people using like a Prince of Tone are doing is playing in church, where you can't have a pedal. You almost can't have a pedal that is the tone, because
I was about to say, don't say
just
you
get
can't.
turned down.
Yeah, they can turn me down.
Almost
all they
can't.
Want.
Almost can't.
Right, but no, they But so this, I mean, it's $173. Like, that's a great price for, the whole thing is especially like people might be like, well, why are you mixing flanger and reverb? Well, number one, the thing is though, is you can run that flanger with that reverb into another into your delay, into your another reverb, and like that's where you're getting into that cool like shoegazy, like heavy layered stuff.
Yeah,
because every once in a while it's fun just to have like a whole wall of sound going.
Put this first, and then like a big muff or a wave cannon or some kind of big fuzz after it. Just something that doesn't cut a low end.
Put a bass through that into a fuzz. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That would give such a dirty, gnarly tone, but be smooth. Yeah. That's like the whole thing. So it's got to have that like smoothness to it, or else I'm not with you anymore, partner. Speaking of things I'm not with anymore, there's another guitar that's coming out that's a tribute to Dimebag Darrell. Nothing against Dimebag Darrell. Listen, call me, say what you want. I actually dig some Pantera. It's just one of those, I was raised that was kind of the stuff I heard, and I enjoyed it. But yeah, Jackson and Anthrax's Scott Ian joined forces for a signature X Series King V that pays tribute to Dimebag Darrell. So it's just the color scheme is kind of something he would have done.
Yeah.
I like the block inlays on this.
Yeah.
I don't hate it. If I mean, like, for being a guitar that does not fit in my genre, I don't hate it.
Yeah.
It's got a zebra pickup in the neck, which has an interesting look to it.
I don't hate the mix of double black and then zebra coil.
No, it's like really cool. I mean,
It's got a lot of mojo.
I dig it. Like, I'm not mad about it. I'm mad that why does it have to be tied to Dimebag?
Yeah.
Because number one, like, Dimebag didn't really play a V. He had his signature thing, which was not a V. But I mean, all right. So, how much do you think this is? So it's a Scott Ian signature.
So yeah, a Jackson signature that's also getting associated with another name, Good Humbuckers, Real Floyd, 2 Control. I'm 16, 17 on the low end.
Nope. $900.
Oh. Well, there you go.
$900. So it's a Floyd Rose 1500 double locking vibrato unit. And then what did it say were the pickups? I can't. I scanned through a little fast.
Okay.
But it's called Baldani Green Burst. I don't hate it. Like, honestly, the annoying thing is, why did it have to? They could have just put it on Scott Ian.
Yeah.
Like, and Scott Ian could have just been like, yeah, I like it because this was a Dimebag color. Because there are guitars that Dimebag played that were this color scheme.
Yeah, he's saying the Dime Slime colorway is what he called it.
Yeah. So. But to say that this guitar is 100% inspired by Dimebag is false.
Yeah.
The colorway is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anywho, that's a decent price. $900. I can handle that.
Yeah.
I think that's interesting that, like, you're seeing a signature for $900. Of course,
I think you're starting to see that more. Like, Zach Myers is doing the same thing. Her's doing it with her Strat. Like, you're starting to get these signature models that are not $3,000 and $4,000.
Yeah.
Because people are starting to realize there's no point in having a signature if
no one can
95% of the people who listen to me can't afford it.
That, I mean, literally, like, that's it. You've got Fender doing it with the Mexican, just making it Mexican for a lot of their signatures. Of course, you got some ones that are up there. I think the Jason Isbell was kind of up there in price.
Yeah, the Isbell was 17-ish.
Yeah. What is the Brad Paisley one? I thought wasn't that around 13 or so at one point? It might have gone up. I think whenever it was introduced,
I think they started low. I think they started 3 digits and then it went up.
Yeah. I think it started about 1300.
Okay.
And worked its way up.
I don't remember.
But that was a pre-COVID, and then it went through COVID, which of course there's going to be the inflation that's been with that. And then it was funny. So the girlfriend and I were sitting around, and she's a huge Beauty and the Beast fan. That's her thing. Like, our first Valentine's Day together, we had literally been like talking. Like, we weren't even dating at this point. We were just talking, but it was Valentine's Day, and I was like, well, I'm going to do something. I got her the rose and the glass case and all that. That was pretty cool. Like, she absolutely anything. I got her the Disney and Belle earrings, Belle necklet, like, and she was watching, and it was her doing the Beauty and the Beast song, The Tale as Old as Time. And I was so proud of myself because I was listening, and I was like, I don't know about that tone. And I looked, I said, that's her. I said, is that her? And she goes, yep. I was like, oh, awesome. I knew who it was right away. Yeah. Because honestly, and then I was sitting there dwelling on that a little bit more. I was like, oh, well, I mean, it's pretty easy. I was like, honestly, it's not anymore, because there's a lot of female guitarists stepping up and becoming popular. And it's not one of those things where it's like, oh, Sheryl Crow plays while singing. These are legitimate singers who are legitimate guitar players who can sing very well a lot of times, but a lot of it's based on being excellent guitar players who happen to be female. So that's always been, I thought that was pretty interesting. That happened the other day. But yeah, $900, phenomenal.
Yeah, that's really not bad. If you need a solid shredder, that looks like a great.
That really looks like some guy playing in like a Southern rock band in a bar.
Yeah.
and it would fit.
Yeah.
Like not in a bad way, because honestly, a lot of those bands have to kind of fit a look.
Yeah.
If that's the genre and the location they're shooting for, you play to what your audience is going to like.
Yeah.
That's totally would fit right in.
Yeah, I mean, nobody wants to walk up to an AC/DC tribute show and see everybody holding Jazz Masters. It doesn't matter how it sounds. It just feel weird.
Yeah, that would.
You know, it's like the meme about if you go to a heavy show and the guitar player looks like a work from home software engineer with like a polo tucked into his khakis, you know you're gonna die in the pit.
Oh yeah, you're gonna die in the pit.
Yeah.
Well, that was that was like some of those bands like were you like the math rock bands?
Mm-hmm.
Like was it Dillinger Escape Plan? Weren't they kind of they were kind of math rock, weren't they?
I think so.
They were pretty intense. I never got into them, but whenever I listened to them, I was just like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Oh, there's a cookie on my screen. All right. Next, we'll talk about the Ampeg has the SGT DI, the perfect compact bass rig. Question mark should be there, because funny thing was we went to the listing and it had 2 videos from Ampeg. None of them had any like sound clips. So we went looking on YouTube and we found a sound clip, and it was not something to freak out about.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool. It's another. I don't know. If you're not gonna buy a Sans amp,
honestly, like Sans amp or Dark Glass, like that's if you're not doing those two,
or the new Origin, the black or the blue bass rig, like those are you don't need anything else. Like this is trying to break into a market that I don't know. Has
Ampeg done DI pedals before? They've done them. Ampeg's done their own DI pedals before,
surely,
but it's just I don't know.
I mean, and I like that you can switch between cabs. You can load in IRs. It's got something that I will give it great credit for is a stacked knob to control the mids, and it tells you what frequency you are turning it to on the frequency knob. It kills me that more guitar pedals don't do that. I get it, because a lot of guitar players are not hyper technical and they don't care if they're boosting 500 versus 400.
That's me raising my hand, because the last time I was over here, literally, what were you using on in Reaper to check the frequency? You were checking like the frequencies and everything.
Yeah, I got Voxengo span plug-in pulled up to be able to see what's happening.
Yeah, and like the whole time he's like, look, and I'm like, yeah, okay. Like, you're a very technical person when it comes to that, and I'm just like, I just twist the knobs till they sound good and leave them alone.
And there's a time and place for that. If I'm doing an amp, I do the TPS thing that they talked about Schofield doing. I think it was Schofield, or Schofield. Doesn't matter. The person who they talk about doing the amp thing, where you turn all the knobs down on an amp that will let you do that without it muting all your signal, and then you bring each knob up to the point where you hear it make the greatest change, and then you set it right at the beginning of it making that change.
Yeah.
And then that is the spot where the amp will be the most, like, air quote, open or dynamic, because you're at the value of the knob that affects your signal the most. And so if you dig in, your signal is going to be more affected by that small range of the knob than an extreme to either side of it.
Wow.
And it's true. Like, I've done it with every amp that I've owned recently, and it really does make a difference. That is one place that I'll say, like, modelers can't. They do it too well. And if you sit 10 deluxes in a row and do that method, they're not all going to have the same EQ settings. But there's some good and some bad to that.
I've never heard of doing that with an amp. I always kind of started at noon and then just kind of moved it until I found like that little sweet spot and just left it. And I don't know. It's always worked. I've always thought I've had okay tone, so I don't think I've never heard my own tone and been like, "Ooh."
Right. If it sounds good, it is good.
Yeah. I think the fun part is whenever people get way too into it. Like, you get into it, but like I've never seen you like get so far into it where I'm like, you're gone too far, dude.
Well, that's because I haven't bought an Axe-Fx and gone into 5 pages of deep editing amp heads and changing individual component values. We won't go down that rabbit hole. Let's talk about the next thing.
You can change individual component values?
Yeah, have you never seen the deep edits in Fractal stuff? So, like, the Helix gives you all the normal amp controls. We're going down this rabbit hole.
Right.
So,
Okay.
the Helix gives you all the normal amp controls, right? Tone, bass, treble. It adds pretty much every model gets a drive and a channel volume and master volume, even if the real amp doesn't have those.
Yeah.
Almost every amp gets bass, middle, treble, and presence, even if the real amp doesn't have those.
Yeah.
But then all of them get a sag control, which is the
Voltage.
power tube compression.
Yeah.
You get hum and ripple, which are the amount that the heater circuit and the sag like affect the voltage coming out to the speaker. And so you can actually like dial up heater circuit, amp hum. Typically you leave those low unless you're going for a very specific like SLO type thing. And then you get a bias and a bias excursion, and you can blend it between like class A and class AB and how dynamically it will react based on how you set that one. So everything's super interactive with the master volume control. That's all you get on the Helix. On
He just breathed that
Fractal,
deep breath.
Yeah. Yeah. Part of that's also because my chest is full of me dying. I remember breathing quite fondly. I hope to be able to do it again one day. The Fractal has, and Rhett Scholl did a video on this about like choosing a modeler, but they have like a page that's similar to what I just described from the Helix, a second page that has like slightly more detailed versions of bias, hum, ripple, bias, excursion, sag, and then there's like 2 or 3 more pages where you can go in and start affecting like individual voltages to specific triodes and pentodes on the individual tubes and capacitor and resistor values, and like it's so that you can sit down with your buddies Dumble that you get an hour with, and you can one-to-one start really trying to assess how really detailed and specific little minute things in the circuit are. But if you don't have a multimeter and know what all that stuff does, there's no reason to have it in the modeler in the first place.
Yeah.
Most people, most use cases are never going to touch any of it. So you're talking about going too far.
Yeah. Fractal's the one that's doing that.
I'm glad that I went Helix when I did.
Yeah. Honestly, a lot of the Helix is I just use presets you send me.
Hey, man. Somebody's got to make them.
Yeah. If you need presets for the Helix or the HX Stomp or anything, Andrew's on Fiverr.
Yeah.
So that was the last time I came over to her. Was check out what I made on Fiverr. I did on Fiverr. You were doing some Japanese or like some
it was like anime theme song style
anime rock
presets.
stuff. I was like, what is going on?
Yeah, it was wild. It just blew up briefly, very briefly. It was like, hey, you have 15 orders, and then now it's back to like 1 every 6 weeks.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know.
Something
it was a
happened
weird time.
really quick, but all right. Let's see. So speaking of real quick, this came out and there was a big quick tease, and then finally just officially announced it. Walrus Audio has the Fundamental series. This ticks a lot of things in my box on my list. They all have sliders.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have knobs. They've got sliders, and I feel like they're listening to me because I'll take sliders over knobs any day.
Mm-hmm.
Only thing I would be a little nervous about the sliders are as if something breaks on them.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be interesting. They're cheap.
Well, we don't know price yet.
Well, they're supposed to be
assumption-
affordable.
Yeah, the assumption is that they're coming after the JHS 3 series. So we would assume, I would assume, in the vein of 100, probably 120.
100 to 120, I'd say.
Yeah.
But
Maybe
yeah, there's a
130.
delay, reverb, drive, distortion, phaser, chorus, tremolo, and fuzz. No flanger. You're talking to Colt. You said you don't need a flanger. No one wants the flanger. But I mean, a fuzz with sliders.
Yeah.
I mean, yes.
I mean, these look great. And I mean, so the tremolo's got sine, square, and random.
Oh yeah, and they all have a 3-way
Three
switch.
modes.
Yeah.
And 3
Reverb has
sliders.
Hall spring plate. Delay has digital, analog, reverse. Oh, the reverse is like.
And those types are preset subdivision values too.
Yes.
That's cool. Quarter, dotted, eighth, and eighth.
The cool thing that I like about it is that if they're going to keep these in the $100, $120 range, the distortion has different clippings.
Yeah.
The fuzz, you've got a gated, a classic, and a mid hump.
Mm-hmm.
Tremolo, like you said, different sine waves. Chorus, light, medium, heavy. Phaser, light, medium, heavy.
These are great.
Like, that's amazing. So I'm guessing you got rate, depth, and feedback. So your depth is going to be your mix on that.
I do have...
No, it's not. No. So your mix is the 3-way switch.
Yeah.
So that's kind of interesting.
Well, on the phaser, on the chorus, it's a slider. They're different.
Oh, okay. I didn't see the mix there.
Yeah, so the phaser is always mixed in. You're choosing depth, light, medium, heavy.
Yeah, the mix. So delay and reverb have the mix.
Yeah.
So these look really cool.
Yeah.
Like I might end up getting one just to play. I would like to mess with the fuzz.
Mm-hmm.
The delay would be pretty cool, especially with the reverse.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, all of them seem really neat, especially if they're going to be in that cheap range.
I will say I see at least one complaint from me, besides lack of flanger, which is the power jack is on the side. I don't like that.
It does. Well, you, Mr. Planner, with your board, like to get some things. So I don't like any of my pedals really close to each other. So it does not bother me.
Right. I typically don't either, except when I'm doing a board like this where everything's through bypass loopers.
Yeah.
And then I want everything to be able to be as close as possible because I only have to turn them on once when I turn the board on for anything that doesn't have like a latching switch. Yeah. Like all the Boss stuff. Shout out Boss.
Ooh. But
yeah.
Well, we'll see.
That's a very minor complaint.
Yeah, I'm excited to see the price on these. I hope that it's reasonable, which I'm sure it will be if that's what they're holding. I mean, fun if it's called the Fundamental series, it's going to be kind of cheap. Speaking of things that aren't cheap and don't make sense, J-Rocket Archer Select.
What a segue! That was great.
7 clipping diodes.
7 clipping diodes. Which
emulated
is
built-in
normal.
speaker emulated DI out.
But yeah, that just makes
you can activate the clipping or not.
No sense.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's I don't know.
And how much are these? Like $400? Oh, that's 400 euros.
400 euros, so even more.
No, let's see.
Or well, sorry, I'm used to the euro being stronger. Yeah, 433. 434.
Well, let's see if we can find it for sale in America.
Maybe 400, yeah.
Oh, they're not James Rickett. J Rocket. 329.
Okay, that's not as bad.
Yeah. So, but still.
I mean,
So the question is this though. How many people are saying, I love my Archer so much that I just want to run it right into a speaker and run it out? Like, there's a few things in between that should be there.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
Especially like if you're using the Archer for your grit, you want some stuff. I mean, unless half of your like sound comes digitally through like your interface, like that you're running it straight there, and then but even then you don't want it after the speaker.
Right.
Like, what is this?
I don't know. If somebody says Klon or Klon inspired, it's not even like tertiary that my brain goes, oh, amp like.
Right.
Or, oh, responds like an amp should. You know? It's like, which I haven't seen anybody say anything bad about it that's played one yet. Would out of those, how many are paid reviews? I don't know, but like, I don't know. I guess I kind of want a devil's advocate and say they made it and people don't hate it. I'm not sure why they made it.
There seems to be a lot of whys out there. Like, I've never once in a forum, in a discussion, heard someone say, I love my Archer. I wish I could just run a DI out of it. No one said that.
I don't even know if anybody who would think to try that, because you couldn't do that.
It was like Jurassic Park. No one, they didn't.
So busy
wondering if they could.
That legitimately, yeah.
So busy wondering if they could, they didn't think about if they should.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, they shouldn't have done this. I don't get it. I don't get it at all.
You again, you
like in
can't
the whole thing about the foot switch being the clipping. Why wouldn't you make the foot switch turn off the speaker emulator? Is there a way to turn off the speaker emulation? I didn't look.
It's a separate output.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, in out's on the top, and then the DI's out of the side.
You can do wet, dry, wet.
Yeah, I mean, you could use this as a dry send. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you wanted, you could use this to split a wet, dry, easily.
But that's only if the DI send with the cab flips the phase, or the other one flip. Like one of them has to be out of phase from the other one, or it doesn't work. And then the toggle switch isn't for that. The toggle switch is a ground lift for the DI.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
And you're the guy who knows a lot about routing stuff and yeah. I figured if anyone knew anything like how it would be practical, it would be you. But
I don't know anybody who's thought, "Ooh, what I want to do is run my Klon into a completely transparent power amp into a 412."
Yeah.
Like, maybe it sounds great. I would try it if I still had my KTR and a pedal baby, but I don't.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, something I do know about.
Yes.
Fender Japan, which once again, if you see that in the title, you know it's going to be great. Mm-hmm. Fender Japan traditional 60s competition stripe range announced. Wait, did I talk about this last week? Hold on one second.
I didn't talk about this last week.
Okay. Well, let me double check because I'm pretty... Let me see.
Well, while you're looking, I will say I like the matching headstocks of the bodies. I like the white.
We did not talk about it last week.
I do wish the competition stripes, since they are in line with the neck, I wish they extended up the headstock.
Yeah. I don't like that they're in line with the neck. I do love the competition stripes that are angled at the...
Same.
At the near the belly cut. That goes starting with like the belly cut area and going down to the pin strap.
Yeah, they do like a 40-degree sort of, like 45 maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a weird choice.
It does look good on the what are those? Are those Jazz
the offsets?
Masters? Yeah, the offsets. It looks okay on the offsets. The telly not so much. The telly almost looks kind of like some sort of flag.
I would say the telly and the Strat look like it's trying to be a flag.
Yeah,
I don't know.
The bass looks actually pretty good.
I like the bass because it's inside the bridge. The other ones it stops at the bridge.
Yeah,
it's kind of strange. That's why this one works too, because you get the division of the stripe. This one being the Jazzmaster. Sorry. The Jazzmaster also works, I think, because you get the tremolo plate breaking up the stripes, but all the other ones, it's just
the
stripes.
Telecaster looks the worst because the competition stripes are the same width as the plate.
Very, very close.
The bridge plate are so very close that it's troublesome.
Yeah.
But let's see, does it have a price on it? I was too busy looking at past episodes to make sure that I didn't do this one.
All of them are basswood bodies.
That's got to be a little bit cheap then.
With U-shaped necks.
Basswood's pretty cheap on the wooden. Yeah.
Bone nut.
Wow, bone nut.
The MSRP's in
154,000, 137,000 to 154,000 yen.
Let's
what's that in America?
That is 1,035.
Oh, so right around the $1,000
to
$1.
Yeah, that's because I can't type. Hold on. Hands type.
You can do it
to $1,200.
So 1,000 to 1,200, somewhere around that range. It's not bad. And Fender Japan makes excellent guitars.
I mean, that's what Mexican those anniversary, or sorry, not Mexican. The anniversary Squires were. Mm-hmm. Those were grand. Yeah, and they were stellar guitars for a grand. I'm sure these are just as good.
Oh yeah.
It just seems like a weird follow-up for Fender Japan after didn't Japan do the JV series?
I can't remember what their last big thing was.
I think that might have been the last Japanese run, and they were great.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, and the whole thing is don't forget, we always got to remember that the culture of guitar in Japan and stuff like that too, of like the looks, is totally different they're into some stuff that we're just like, it's not really our thing. I could see that being pretty big in Japan because it almost, especially with the competition stripes, that it for them is like them emulating American culture, which is something that they like to do. Just like there's a lot of people in here, like we like to emulate, other cultures.
I was telling you about being on an anime kick earlier.
Yeah, literally. So like that's kind of one of the things. So,
speaking of Japanese, if I might tangent for a moment.
No, we don't tangent on this podcast, sir.
Never
happened.
Did I tell you or send you photos when I was fighting hard to not buy that Japanese signature 335 a little while back? Let me show you this thing. There was one of these for sale forever.
Oh,
the Shinichi Ubukata signature 335. It is black, double bound.
It's got the
Bigsby diamond F holes, Veritone. The not terrible headstock.
Oh, it's the book.
The book headstock.
Oh, Dios mío.
And they're like $1,200.
That's beautiful, though. I just wish it didn't have a Bigsby.
Oh no, I love that it has a Bigsby.
No, I would want to that guitar. If you put that guitar with less trim.
Oh, sorry, they are 355s. My bad. Block inlays and Veritone, fully hollow.
Yeah.
So supposedly they made a super limited run of actual Gibson ones, and one of them is the one that Dave Grohl uses as a shovel in one of the Foo Fighters music videos.
Wow.
Yeah. But then they have these Epiphone ones that are stellar as well. So
I would get that.
So sorry, nice little tangent for you after talking about things that were made by or for Japanese musicians. They haunt me.
Yeah. I already told the girlfriend if I ever hit the lottery, I'm buying a DG335.
Yeah.
And I don't care.
Yeah. Because why wouldn't you?
And anytime I play it, I'm not wearing clothes. Like that's just, I will not play it live. That will be my personal, like, some people don't realize how much I love Dave Grohl and how much I love that guitar. Like that is the dream guitar.
If you let somebody borrow it, they'd be like, what is this weird belt rash looking wear on the back?
Ain't
Like,
belt rash,
don't
buddy.
worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Belt rash. Damn it, Diaz, shave your belly or something. Oh, wait.
You don't have much belly to shave anymore.
Oh no, it's been going
cutting weight.
Yeah,
like
but I've done horrible this week. So I'm starting Monday. I'm gonna get back on. I'm gonna give it to them tomorrow. I did really well for a very long time, and because the best part is though, I've also like, even while I've cheated, I've also like, that's like the girlfriend. She went and had lunch with a few friends and got Mexican, and I was like, bring me back some. And like even then, like I still didn't eat absolutely horrible. I got fajitas and I'm not eating any of the peppers or onions. I had them cook it in it, and then like tortillas. I mean, they've got carbs, but it's not horrible. And so,
yeah, because you're not doing some fad short-term diet to
I'm
try
changing
to drop.
my way
you're
of
literally
eating.
Reshaping the way you exist.
Yeah, like
for the better.
Checking nutritional information.
Yeah,
which I never like. Yeah.
Talking about things that are scrumptious.
Oh, yeah. So Suzuki, which is a brand that we probably didn't think we'd be talking about on this podcast ever. Because they don't really do music instruments like they used to do stuff. But they had, what is it called again?
The Omnichord?
The Omnichord. So 70th anniversary for the Omnichord. This is just an interesting piece of gear and has an interesting history. And just how it's been used is, it's weird. I remember seeing these all the time and like making the weirdest noises with them.
They used to just sit. It's just like everything that's fatted lately, like the Bad Monkey, the PV Decade. It's these things where they were like a studio secret or somebody's secret studio weapon, or this one person used it on this famous recording and never told anybody what it was. And so they were just sitting in pawn shops for 20 years. Yeah. Nobody caring about them. And you'd see them every time
these
you
would
went
be in
to every
pawn shops
shop.
Or these were, there was one of these at every church in a closet somewhere.
Every single one.
Yeah. I've seen both of these in plenty of places.
Yeah. And now you can't find them for less than a used car.
So, like, I mean, there's just, I don't know, the Eurythmics used it, Joni Mitchell, David Bowie, Brian Eno, Damon Albarn. I don't know who that is, but apparently he's the man of this. So there's the Omnichord OM300 and the Omnichord OM27. I don't see a price on it right now, but it'll be interesting. I'm curious how much they're going to be. Like,
what are they on Reverb right now?
Just a regular Omnichord?
Yeah.
I don't know. Let me pull up my Reverb. I can't type. Little fingers of fury over there.
Okay, so the OM84 starts at $650, and
Holy
the OM27
Jesus.
starts at $580, and the 300 starts at $950 for real vintage ones on Reverb
That's
right now.
ridiculous.
There's only one 300. There's only two 84s, and there's 9 27s.
Which the 27 is not one that they're reissuing, right?
I thought it was the 27 and the...
Oh, wait, hold
It's
on.
the 27 and the 300 that are being
it's the 20. Yeah,
reissued.
you're right. 27.
84 is the weird one.
Oh, sorry. The color. I saw a 27
Yeah.
that was white. They're doing the brown ones.
Let's see.
The rare brown was 771.26. Yeah.
I mean, but like looking at the price history. So one sold 4 days ago. A 300 sold for $1,100. Golly. And one sold 2 weeks before that for half that. So the price is all over the place.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But the average price over the last 2 years is $5 and some change. They've been as low as $460, but yeah, as high as $1,100, $1,200.
Speaking of high, someone's gonna be high as a kite to buy this. A Gibson custom shop Kirk Hammett Greenie announced $20,000.
Well done.
$20,000. You can buy a Dave Grohl 335 and still have quite a few grands left over. Probably have about 5 to 6 grand left over.
I like that they point out that this is the affordable version of the 59 run from the Murphy Lab that they did, which
was
were
$50,000.
$50,000 a piece.
Yeah.
I just wonder if Kirk Hammett, I mean, not like Kirk Hammett doesn't have 20 grand laying around he could buy a guitar with, but I think it's funny that you could even deign to ask the question, could the person whose signature model this is afford it? Like,
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just kind of insane. $20,000 for a brand new guitar. I don't know. I would like to believe that we're not living in that type of world, but here we are.
And it's supposed to be a 59, but they even point out it comes with modern day Spurzle tuners because that's what Kirk Hammett uses. It's like they're not even going out of their way to do extra vintage appointments.
No, because they're doing exactly the way Kirk has it right now.
Yeah.
So
even if the old tuners are crap, I mean,
I know, but if you get the old tuners, that's not what Kirk Hammett has.
Kirk Hammett is not getting any of my money. Speaking of Kirk Hammett,
Yeah.
have you been to Guitar Center and looked in the used cabinet recently?
No.
They have one of the KHDK Alpha, whatever it's called. It's like from his pedal company, and they did like a limited run of 300 of them, and then did a second run of 300 of them. It's like $450 for some distortion.
No.
It looks cool.
Yeah.
It's the LCFR, is that right? KHDK.
I've never sat there and said, I want to sound like Kirk Hammett.
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks cool.
Yeah. Looks like something off Supernatural.
Yes, 100%. It looks like something straight out of Supernatural or John Wick.
Yeah. Or Constantine.
Yes.
If we're gonna do Keanu Reeves.
That's fair. Did you just drop your phone?
Yeah.
Oh,
Kung Fu
fishing.
Kung Fu Canoe. It's still my favorite name for Keanu Reeves, Kung Fu Canoe.
That's incredible.
All right. Well, so that's pretty much all of the new gear. But there was a piece of gear news that came out this week that seems like people have an opinion on. And well, you guys are listening to this show, so I'm guessing you might want to hear my opinion on it. Marshall has been sold to Swedish speaker company Zound, ending over 60 years of family ownership. First of all, this is a very common business practice. The family might be selling controlling interests of the company, but they're still going to be operating it. That's one of the things that I've read. I could be wrong.
Yeah,
but
in agreeing to the takeover, the Marshall family will remain the largest shareholder with 24% stake.
They are the largest shareholder with 24% stake. They don't have majority, but they have the largest.
Yeah.
And if I was informed correctly, they will still be running the operation.
Yeah.
Pretty much this is this. I mean, have you watched Shark Tank? That's what happened.
Yeah.
Someone, the Swedish Mark Cuban, decided to buy into Marshall. And Marshall doesn't. The Marshall family doesn't have full. They don't have controlling ownership right now. Yeah. That's what that headline is. It was a little misleading. Yeah. People think that whenever some of these families sell their brand or sell parts of their ownership and lose controlling majority, they don't have the 51% share that they need to make every decision without a problem. They think that they still don't operate. Well, that's not it. There's a lot of times people sell a business, but they still operate it. They just make a buttload of money. And what happens is now they just go down to having a salary. Well, which they still own 24%. So they'll still get 24%, depending on how the company's set up. But if they do, the profits get shared, then they still get 24% of that. But the whole deal is they are still going to operate it. Nothing's really going to change. Things might actually get better. They probably have an influx of money, unless they just took all that money and kept it. A lot of places sell that money. They sell those, and part of the deal is the money goes into the business. Does Marshall need a boost in money? We don't know. Possibly.
Here you go. No immediate change in operations. Amps continuing to be made in England. Factory in Vietnam. Sound's chief executive told the paper consolidating its concerns in one company, Marshall Group, was placed for faster innovation and deeper connection. So yeah, it sounds exactly like that. It's like, hey, Zounds approached them after doing 14 years of Bluetooth speakers with the Marshall logo on them and said, why don't we take over all the day-to-day minutia and let you guys focus on designing better gear?
Yeah.
I think we might see the first new Marshalls in a while from this.
Yeah, because a lot of Marshall stuff is just reissues.
Yeah.
That's all. It's what it is. There hasn't been a brand new. I think the origins were those kind of newish. Everything's always kind of based on the same thing. But that's like even they've reissued what were the Blues Breaker amps or whatever they were, the more the digital
the core
bass breakers.
That was Fender.
Oh, whoa. Yeah. Sorry.
I had one of those.
I'm sorry. I was mixing up Blues Breaker and Bass Breaker. That's right.
Well, that was the whole thing, is the Bass Breaker was supposed to be
Blues Breaker kind of thing.
It was supposed to be the Bassman JTM 45 hybrid. Yet another Fender amp with an EL power section.
Don't worry, Philip. Andrew's here to correct me in real time. He's got your back.
Hi, Philip. I was actually about to bring him up because we were also talking about this, and they were saying, I wonder if Reverb's just going to explode now with all these people being like pre-acquisition.
Pre-Zounds. Funny thing was whenever I read it, I thought it was the Zounds.
I did too. I was like the same thing.
I was like, that's a little interesting.
Yeah.
Marshall's now going to be a house brand for a company that does a lot of financing.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's crazy. But no, you know what? Here's the deal. It's not going to matter.
No.
It's not going to change much. If anything, I think it might be able to help for the better.
Yeah. How many people does Korg own now?
Well, look about Fender.
Yeah.
Fender, FMIC. Gretsch, all these brands. Yeah. Granted, everyone's got it's like Fender has a pre-CBS and all this stuff. And a lot of that is bull hockey. Some of it isn't. But who... I don't know. I just thought it was funny people getting all up in arms, and it's like, who cares?
Yeah. Honestly, news like this, unless it's like hostile takeover,
yeah,
or it's somebody putting their foot really, 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 really deep down their own mouth, it's not going to affect anything in the industry in the short term. Probably not in the long term either.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the thing that they're going to do is probably restructure some of the way they do things. And a lot of that, and that's the whole thing, is it's not like they're restructuring because Marshall's doing something bad. It's because they have more, what's the word I'm looking for? They've got, you've got two companies now that are working together, and there might be some redundancy, and they might be able to streamline things. Or they might be able to, I mean, Zounds has already done Marshall stuff. They've done these speakers. Maybe they've got a way to streamline operations for something else. Maybe their factory can take over a part that Marshall is having to purchase somewhere else. Something like that. Like, that's a lot of things people don't realize. These companies, whenever they buy each other out, very rarely does a company buy another company without the idea of how can I use this to boost what we've already got.
Mm-hmm.
Or they see another company, they're like, we could totally take that company and make it, more efficient. So it's interesting to see that. So everyone, we're going to be wrapping it up. Andrew, thank you for helping me do this episode. If not, it was going to be me and the girlfriend. I feel like that'd be a very interesting episode that probably wouldn't go as well as I think it could go.
That's very fair.
It would be a total train wreck. I said, she could just look at the picture and be like, "Oh, that's pretty."
Shout out to Elise.
Yes, shout out
for putting up with Diaz, so we don't. She doesn't
listen. Hopefully, she doesn't listen. Because there's times I say stuff that I don't feel like sleeping on the couch. I have to move my CPAP and all that. But anyways, guys, go check out theeffectsloop.com. It's got links to our Patreon, our Facebook group, our email, all that fun stuff. Become a supporter. We appreciate all of our supporters helping me get this mic, helping cover some some costs for Scott to go to Nashville and do some stuff there. We really appreciate everyone who takes care of us. And also, big shout out once again to Andrew for coming on, helping me out, and having me come hang out, which is always fun. So everyone, be safe. Have a good week. Scott should be back next week. He's probably going to be editing this episode, cursing under his breath a little bit, because he was supposed to get away with it. And I'm going to be like, but please. So, and Scott, if you're listening to the episode because you're editing it, which you're probably not going to listen to it anyways. Oh, he does listen whenever he's not on it. I don't, which is weird too. I just don't listen to podcasts at all. But, all right, everyone, have a good week. We'll see you. Bye.
Bye.
Dictionary, why is negativity always drawn out? Picture every visualized love, energized lives together. We undefeated, a plan to make well, there's no gloves needed when we weed into the mindset of achieving and believing in a community that remains happy. Never after, the world should be one. Hate annihilated, every heart is one. Love again. So don't buy the hate, don't separate. We're strong when love overcomes. Don't buy the hate, don't separate. We're strong when love overcomes. Don't buy the hate, don't separate. We're strong when love overcomes. Don't buy the hate, don't separate. We're strong when love overcomes. We can overcome it. Don't buy the hate, don't separate. We're strong when love overcomes. Make the love flow, 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 Make the love flow.
Scott, I will leave you a very good joke post our goodbyes because I have to tell you my favorite pun of all time and get Diaz's incredibly bad sigh when he hears it for the fourth or fifth time.
Oh, I've already heard this one?
I guarantee you I've already told you this, but you may have forgotten it. So, did you know that you can wear any boat on the planet as a hat?
No, I didn't.
Okay, take your boat of choice. You got it pictured in your head?
Yeah.
Okay. Take it down to the water. Put it in the water. Flip it upside down.
Okay.
It's capsized.
Oh my gosh. No, I haven't heard that one. That's good.
You're welcome.